Welcome to the All Pop No Culture podcast. I am your host this week. That was really weird though. I said I am your
Yeah,
host.
you're
It was very
very
definitive.
emphatic.
And well, I am your host. I
Are we
am
really
your.
starting right now? Because
Uh,
I want to light my candle. Can I light my candle really quick? Because
Yeah,
light your candle. I'm
like Pete
fumbling my
needs
way
the
through this
opportunity
anyway.
to redo this thing. Well, so if you watch the last episode, I did a special intro for it, and I just recorded, right, and like I fucked up like so many times. If you watch, you can see where I cut in and out of that video
Oh, that's
because
funny.
I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go and then say this little bit that I want to say, and then I can cut it. It's easier to do with audio because you look less like an idiot because you can't see the cuts. Yeah.
Uh, okay.
that's a scary flame. All right.
Light a candle.
See, dude, once you've broken, you're fucked.
Yeah, that's. Well, I can't. I feel like I'm like this is the closest I will ever get to SNL. Right here is getting the giggles to the point where I like can't. Welcome to the All Pop No Culture. That was way too hot. Welcome to the All Pop No Culture podcast. I am your. I did it again with the fucking I. You know what? Fuck it. Welcome to the All Pop No Culture podcast. I'm Pete. I'm your host this week. I am joined, as always, by Kevin.
Hola.
And this evening we are sans Andy, but we have an Andrew. It's a solo Andrew in the house.
What's up, everybody?
Ah, yes, it's a good one. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we talked about this. I'm so excited not to jump the gun on anything because we do have some other stuff to talk about. But I am incredibly excited to talk about Lost. This is going to be another fun one with that, and then a little later we'll have a discussion with Andrew and get to know him a little better. Get inside that little brain, see what makes him tick. Maybe if we ask him nicely, he'll MBTI Kevin or MTBI MB.
That would be really fun, man. I appreciate the shout out for MBTI. I am a Jedi of MBTI. Let me tell you.
It was, dude, when I saw you do that at that little gathering we had at that little steakhouse, just like live and in person. So, okay, do you know what that is, Kevin? The MBTI,
Nope.
the Migs Briars. Okay, well, you know what?
Oh, okay. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
We'll wait till the end with that one. I want to. It's Andrew is, like he said, he's a Jedi with that. It's kind of freakish, actually. So yeah, let's just go around the horn and catch up with everybody, see what everybody's watched. Andrew, you are the guest tonight, so we'll start with you. What's
All
new in
right.
the world?
What's new in my world? Well, as I was doing my Facebooking and sharing interesting articles, there was a story on this place in New Jersey from this.
Wait.
Oh,
If this is your first time listening, we are a pop culture centered podcast, mostly talking about streaming movies and television and their effect on comedy and culture today. Continue, sir.
thank you. So they're talking about Action Park. So anyone who's from the East Coast is familiar with this place, and it talked about how there was a water slide, like a tube that goes into a loop and then down. It wasn't designed by anyone professional. There were teeth in the water slide. People would come out bloody and cut up and lacerated. So I'm like, what the hell? And then, of course, your host tonight actually said, hey, man, there's a really cool documentary on HBO Max, Class Action Park. So I just watched it. And let me tell you, first of all, a lot of my other friends jumped on there and were like, dude, that was an amazing documentary, fun watch. So I had to watch it. And let me tell you, not to be spoilery, but it was absolutely a roller coaster of a watch, even emotionally. So it had me feeling nostalgic for stuff that I didn't even experience, right? Like we're somewhat the same age, like we're a little bit, like they're more probably like class 91, 92, 90 people, but I still remember what
Yeah,
the
if not younger.
if not exactly.
Yeah.
But it was still like, wow, like what a cool place to go. But I'm glad I didn't go because I don't have any broken bones or scars or permanent like trauma from that experience, you know?
Yeah, I love the documentary, especially about like oddball things that have to do with pop culture. Like I started watching one, I never went back to it. It's pretty good, but like there was one that they did about these people who basically found a way to scam the McDonald's Monopoly game, and they won it like several years in a row. And this whole
Oh
thing,
yeah,
but
I
that's
remember that one. I remember that one.
yeah. This Class Action Park is such a well done documentary. The
Yes.
pacing is perfect. What they choose to focus on, they use the right interviews at the right time. Like it is very well done, and but it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like it's not. Don't expect Ken Burns or anything like that. But it's just fun, and it takes this little slice of time, and it tells the story completely without being like without being too much, without being too long or getting too into it. And they never like stuff things into the narrative just to like take up space or fill a little time. Like it's still a nice lean tight show. It's probably one of my favorite documentaries, and it's about a goddamn, like you said, this amusement water park in Jersey, and the shit they have there, man. I think I talked about it on the show before, but it is definitely worth watching, and I'm glad you liked it.
I'm glad you recommended it. I'm glad I watched it, and I was actually a little sad that it was over. And I learned, about Chris Gethard, a comedian who's out in New York from there, and Alison Becker. So anyway, highly recommended. I guarantee you will not be bored. And it was again balanced and fair, and very 360. You'll feel, I think you'll come away feeling like you know something new. So that's me.
Kevin,
Yeah, that's me.
what you got?
Yeah, so I finally got on the train and started watching Yellowstone. I'm only 3-4 episodes in, but man, it's a phenomenal show. Like it's done. We talk about how Lost is made and how you can tell from the beginning that they knew what they were doing. The directors knew how to put their stuff together, and Yellowstone has that feel too. Like you look at it and it's just, they knew exactly who all these characters were when they started. The direction is amazing, cinematography is amazing, and it starts off really heavy duty. You lose a character you thought was going to be important in the first episode. It really draws you in. There's a lot of just like show structure wise, and quality wise, that you could compare to a show like Lost or something like that. Like I said, it knows exactly what it is. All the actors know exactly their part, and they're all good actors. Like there's
Cool.
nobody's half-assing it. Nobody's phoning it in. It's super good. And funny enough, the guy that plays Sawyer is in the most recent season of Yellowstone.
Okay.
So he shows up in Yellowstone later. But yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I know they're doing a prequel, or they've started doing the prequel, which is called 1883 with Sam Elliott, who is like the quintessential cowboy, right? I haven't watched that one yet. I don't know that you necessarily have to watch Yellowstone before 1883, but I'm going to, just because that's how they've released them. But I'll get there. And then the only other thing of note that I have watched is on Hulu. I was flipping through, and we found a show called Pivoting.
Yeah.
It's a new sitcom, and it's about these three girls, and one of their best friends just passed away, and they 30s, maybe 40s, but probably 30s. But it's Maggie Q. You said the other girl's name was Eliza Coop, I think.
Yeah.
And then Jennifer Goodwin. and it's not like a ridiculous comedy, so it's not like over the top funny, like something like we were talking about Parks and Rec and things like that. It's not quite like that, but it's funny. Like it's not crazy funny, but like Maggie Q is a doctor, like an ER. I think she's like an ER trauma surgeon or something like that. And when her friend dies, she realizes that she hates her job. She hates, everything being on her, and she's just straight up quits. Like in the first episode, she just quits her fucking job and goes to work at a grocery store. Like she's just like, I just need to change my life. So it's all about these people whose lives essentially pivot on their friend's death, because they all loved her. They're all close. They're all good friends, and it's fun. It's funny. I'm excited to get into more of it. I think I've only watched the first 2 episodes, and I think there's 3 or 4 out right now. But it's on
Okay,
Hulu.
so are they half hours or 45
yeah, half
minutes?
hour.
Good.
Nice.
It may even be on TV if you're not down with the streaming, but I found it on Hulu.
Yeah, I remember watching the preview for that and just going, "Wow, this cast looks really cool." And I love Eliza Coupe. She was in that show. Like we kind of talked about that Happy Endings, which just deserved way more praise than it got. It was super funny. I mean,
yeah, that show
it
was
was
fantastic.
it was over the top, almost to the point of being fucking farce. But like, it was hilarious. Her and Damon Wayans' marriage was, or Damon Wayans Jr.'s marriage was absolutely insane. And I mean, it had Elijah Cuthbert in it. So
yeah. She's all right.
Or Alicia Cuthbert, Elijah. Jesus Christ.
Whatever.
Yeah. No. Now just jumping back to Yellowstone real quick. Have you seen Ozark? Have you watched any Ozark?
I keep meaning to watch it, and for whatever reason, every time I come past it, I'm just like not in the mood for like drama. And so like I know that show is all drama, so I haven't kicked it off yet.
It's drama, but it also has, I think, some pretty funny moments. Like it's nuts. Like I don't know if you've even watched the first episode.
No, I haven't at all.
So that first, I would just say, like, just watch the first episode, because for me, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's for me one of my favorite first episodes of all time. Like I literally, like by the end of it, I was like, okay, I get the hype, because it's so like not it's pretty nuts, I think, for what it started. Yeah, even like the first like 15 minutes of it, you're like, what the hell? So anyway, I highly recommend it. If you like Breaking Bad, if you watched it, I would almost call it like Breaking Bad, but a faster pace and a different kind of angle of the same thing. It's cartels, it's, but it's like, it's not just one individual, Walter White. It's how do we navigate this as a family? And that to me is, it's so scary. Okay, one more thing, I'm gonna rant a little bit, but it's so scary because like family is so precious, right? Because you want to protect your people in this most precarious, dangerous cartel life. So that's what's so compelling to me.
So it's like an angry version of Weeds. Like did you watch Weeds?
I did not watch Weeds.
Weeds is really funny.
Really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's on.
I love her.
It's on at least Prime or Netflix.
Yeah,
now. It's on one of the two. You can get it.
Okay.
Without having Showtime.
It's streamable someplace other than Showtime. The reason I ask about Ozark randomly is because I know a lot of people who have watched both, and I still haven't had a chance to ask anyone if they to watch Ozark or Yellowstone first. Like, which one is kind of, I don't want to say more important, but like which one should I prioritize? And I'm almost leaning towards Yellowstone only because I know Christy really wants to watch that, and it's got more episodes, so it'll take a little longer. Ozark's only got, isn't it like 2 seasons?
Season 4 just started now.
Is it 4?
Is it only 4 started?
And I think the season 4 is the last season, but it's like season 4 part 1 just dropped.
But see, it's tough because Ozark's got my boy Bateman in it. Love Jason Bateman.
Love him. Did you ever see Bad Words?
Okay, I just watched that last night. Actually, I was just about to say that.
That movie's awesome.
It's funny because I'm watching it with my oldest, and the language, I don't care about the language with her. I'm not worried about it. She doesn't. But I completely forgot that there's that really weird, awkward sex scene in his room with Catherine Hahn, we're just like, don't look at me, don't fucking look at me, and it's like it's not like what you would call graphic, but it's not. It was weird because like I'm sitting there watching this with my daughter, and like love scenes don't, but like we've all watched Titanic together and stuff, and it's not the love scene. Like she's mature enough, we giggle about it and we joke about how it's awkward, but it's not bad. This, just because it was such a weird like depiction of sexuality, or like kind of like that like weird outside, it was just like this is strange. Like it's just such a weird moment. I absolutely love that movie. That little kid was absolutely perfect. Fuck you, guy. Just like, and like the movie's great, and the way he shits on the guy at the end. Anyway, if you haven't seen Bad Words, go watch it. But that leads me into the two really kind of fun things I watched on Peacock this week. One of them, full title. Let's see, I gotta. True Stories with Ed and Randall. It's got Ed Helms and Randall Park as the host, and it's kind of almost got the drunk history thing where what they do is they reenact the story that the person is telling, done with like comedians and some. They haven't had anybody huge yet do anything in there, but they've got some good stuff. The way this show knocks it out of the park, though, and why it actually works well where other shows like this haven't worked, they pick the right people who can tell a story to be the guests and to have the stories. The stories are very entertaining, but the people themselves are engaging and fun to listen to. Whereas a lot of time it's like the story carries it, and it's and then it's all the reenactment. Like they pick really fun stories. There's a wide variety. Slice of life. Like I watched the whole series. They're only I think they're only half-hour episodes, if that. Well, like I'm looking at it right now. I can just fucking tell you. So as of right now, there's 6 episodes. Yeah, they're half hours apiece. Like the first episode is all about this guy who's this huge Steelers fan and sneaks into a Steelers Super Bowl in Miami. And this, when you listen to the guy recount the story and the way they do this, speaking of happy endings, Adam Paley plays him as a younger man, from Philly up there, like or Pittsburgh, getting to the Super Bowl and sneaking in and everything that happens. This sounds stupid. I don't want to spoiler it because it's one of those stories where like just when you think, okay, this is where it's going to be the end. No, something else happens to this guy. And then the next episode is about this girl who was basically, she was a Libyan refugee with her family. They settled in Huntsville, Alabama, and how she ran for school president. And she was, she's fairly traditional. She wore, her scarf and everything else. It's a really cool, engaging story though, and it's not like it's not like Malala's story. If you're familiar with that, like the girl who got Malala. Anyway, history, reason history. She like got shot in the head or something, and then she like as a younger woman, and then she survived and went back, and she's like this total like. Mother Teresa type character now or figure. She's a really good example for young girls and women. My wife did this whole unit on her when she was teaching. Anyway, look her up, Malala. Interesting story. Not to get too off track there. It's a fun load of stories like that. They've got and a couple of them have 2 in each, and they're all, like I said, they're all really, really good. In fact, one of them, they get the guy. Do you remember? I think it was around 2008. They tell you in the story, it was a kind of big viral sensation because the guy started a GoFundMe. Long story to get nowhere. This guy, I forgot his name, but he was accidentally included on a bachelor party's email chain, and he wound up going to this bachelor party in Connecticut or Vermont, And he started to go fund me to be able to go there, and he's like this very nerdy like Dungeons and Dragons type of guy, and these were a bunch of metalheads, and it just became this whole like, it was one of those kind of like early really viral sensation kind of things that popped up because he did a GoFundMe and the story was kind of captivating. Well, they got the actual guy, and he tells the whole, he tells the whole story of everything that happened, and it's really neat to go, oh wait, I remember that. Like, I do remember seeing something about that. And so it's, I'm rambling now. Fun series. Good to watch. There's only 6 episodes out right now. They're really easily consumable in a half hour, but they're fun. Like, it's not like something you could just put on as background and like check in with it in a minute and kind of check out. Like, you get pulled into the stories because they're really good and it's all done really, really well. The other one I watched, I'm not done with it yet. I'm midway through the second episode, but my favorite time of every 4 years is popping up here, and it's almost time for the Olympics. And on Peacock, they have American Rock Stars. It's a documentary, 4 episodes. It's narrated by Nick Offerman, and it is about the U.S. men's curling team that won gold in 2018. And the first episode just focuses on the story of how that team evolved and became what they were to then win gold. And just like how it kind of captured America's, like all of a sudden Americans gave a shit about something that we had lost constantly for Olympics forever. That was always a Canadian thing. Like Canada always won curling, even though it's funny because the Swedes are in there and Norwegians, and we're ripe for a curling movie.
Yeah,
I'm just
something
saying.
about curling is like the most Canadian thing I can think of. Like, it just looks like a Canadian sport.
As a heads up, I am actually Canadian, at least by nationality. I was born in Ghana, but I'm a Canadian citizen. I lived there for about 14 years, but I'm not the best Canadian because I never really skied before. And I skated for the first time in Santa Barbara in 1999 or 2000. So anyway, not your typical Canadian, but I am Canadian. Just letting you guys know. Be nice.
But you're super nice like a Canadian.
I am like a Canadian. I used to say and actually, if you don't actually finish the curling story, because I have one more thing to say about what I've been watching, but I want to.
But it's really neat because now then the next 3 episodes are going to focus on them getting ready here for the next Olympics coming up in February, very soon, like next week. I believe they start up. So I love the Olympics. They just, like, NBC always does such a good job of putting together a story for people that you care about, and like they make it so it's like she had to get up at 6 a.m. every day to train, and like it makes it, they turn it into like a total hardship until I'm all, wait a minute, I'm up at like 5:15, 5:30.
Yeah, I'm like, fucking impress me. I get up
fucking,
every day at 6 to take my kids to school. Bring it on. Let's go.
yeah, I'm all, wait a minute. You're not so much impressive anymore.
Fuck it, I can ski.
Do you have a preference between summer versus winter Olympics?
No, I like them both for very different reasons.
I like summer.
Very different events. There's in the same way that I love gymnastics, I get figure skating in the winter. In the same way that I love, like, volleyball and stuff like that in the Summer Olympics, we get fucking hockey in the Winter Olympics. Like there's each one has its own little trade-off. I think they're really fun because like it's neat because you get a lot of sports that like people stop kind of doing after high school or into college a little bit, and then you're just kind of done. And this is like the pinnacle of what they can do. And to watch the physical form of some of these people run and the way they would just boggles my mind to see a human body move like that. Like just the sheer impressive amount of training and everything they've done to do, like, to be able to run that fast, from just run. All you're doing is running. Like it seems like it shouldn't be that impressive of a thing. You just run from point A to point B, but it's amazing that you can run from point A to point B that fucking fast.
It just makes me sad, dude. I feel like they've never heard of a car. I can get those places faster.
I do agree though. It's a funny meme that starts popping up every time the Olympics come out. How they need to have one just like regular person off the couch go out and compete in the event just so they have like a control for everybody else. Just like that. Like I would love that. Like they're all stepping in as the control, Peter Lamondo from Castro Valley, California. Yeah. Pete ran the 90-yard dash in just under 2 minutes last time he went, so we'll see what happens this time.
Don't worry, we have an emergency vehicle on hand.
Yeah, like I'd run like the first 15 meters, and they'd be done with the race, and I'd be like, well, "Fuck it."
Yeah, just bent over.
So one thing I wanted to jump in really quick, I got to plug Attack on Titan one more time. So apparently, after the last show, we always do these shows on Saturdays. I want to say Sunday they had the episode. It was the first time in the show's history that it got a perfect 10 from all the viewers who were rating it on IMDb, and I gotta tell you, it was well deserved. So Kevin, you were saying something earlier about how shows can start strong and kind of fall off. This is a show that got strong and just got better. I mean, yes, season 3 was a little like the first half of season 3, but second half of season 3 just makes up for it. And then season 4 has just been straight unadulterated fire. And this past episode, the last couple of episodes, every time it ends, you're like, no, like, why is it over? So 10 out of 10, dude. Like, and anime fans don't play. Like, we are a critical bunch. So
yeah, no kidding.
A little plug for Attack on Titan, man. Get on that shit.
Did we?
And that's the first curse word of the podcast. Keep going.
Did we talk about Arcane? Did you watch that one?
You know what? I don't think we talked about Arcane on like while we're actually like live. But no, we haven't talked about it. And yeah, that was a good show too, for sure. Yeah, very strong and very good voice acting as well.
Yeah, the voice acting is phenomenal. It's probably some of the best voice acting I've seen in an animated series for sure.
Yes.
Well, that's speaking of which that just came out. I haven't started it yet because I want to be able to. I'm waiting. I'm going to be cheese dick about it and not watch it every week. I'm going to wait till they're all
the Legend
out.
Of Vox Machina.
Fuck yes, I am.
Dude, okay, so I sat down to watch that with my kids.
Not a kid's show, bro.
No, there's a phenomenal amount of language in that show.
Okay, so for the listener and viewer that don't know, there was a podcast YouTube series called Critical Role. It's still but it's not this original cast, this group, the Vox Machina, the Mighty Nine, if you will. There's a guy. They're all voice actors. Mm-hmm. Matt Mercer's a DM. It has become in so many ways the standard to which dungeon masters kind of like do you compare yourself now in this kind of Dungeons & Dragons renaissance that's happened? It's like everybody's expecting someone to be Matt Mercer, and he's a phenomenal storyteller. They're all amazing voice actors. So what they had was they finished a campaign, and they had released all this stuff, and they said, okay, well, I forgot exactly how it came about, but somebody said we should turn this into an animated series. They crowdsourced this series.
That's right.
And they got millions and millions of dollars. Actually, I should look this up to be accurate, so I'm not talking completely out of my ass.
The advantage,
but it was a shit ton of money.
Yeah, and the advantage that they have is that they really are like top flight voice actors.
Oh yeah,
you're talking Laura Bailey. I'm totally blanking on her name. She was Ellie in Lost.
I'm looking this up. It's a 9.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's gotten great reviews for every episode so far.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
It's really funny. They pulled, because what they did was they pulled stuff directly from the
campaign.
I just checked my messenger, and a friend of mine, the friend who recommended Arcane to me, this is also cosmic. Straight up this morning, I kid you not.
You can say the shit word.
He said Legend of Vox Machina. This morning at 8:33 a.m. he recommended it to me. So it's all coming together. I gotta watch it now. He described it as a mashup of the original D&D cartoon and Invincible. That's the way he described it.
That sounds right. I believe that.
And it's actually, it got to, I didn't watch a lot of Critical Role. I do listen to some Dungeons and Dragons podcasts, but the ones I listen to usually top out at about an hour 30, like 2 hours at the most if it's a really long episode. One of my favorites is like 60 minutes hard. That like it's a hard 60-minute out for them. Critical Role has like some YouTube episodes that are like 4 and 5 hours long. It's an entire gaming session.
Yeah.
Like it's not abridged at all. Most of these podcasts, they'll do it for a couple hours and maybe they'll record 2-3 episodes in a row, because it's like the average game of D&D, usually when you play, it's nice to have it last around that 4 or 5 hour mark is like a nice sweet spot. Maybe 6 if you're, depending on how you play. It's fun to play for just a couple hours, but that nice little length of time is really good in there when you're telling a good story. So yeah, it started off. They estimated a cost of around $750,000 for the single 22-minute animated short.
Wow.
With the crowdfunding, within an hour of launch, it had made $1 million. And after the first announced stretch goal was unlocked, it had reached more than 4.3 million. And the total when the Kickstarter closed on April 19th was $11,385,449 with 88,000 different backers.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
This is one of those things, like I'm like I said, I really want to watch it. Like I'm really excited for it, but it's for some reason it's one of those that I want to binge. I don't want to like wait week by week for this one. Like there's some of the stuff, the way they're releasing it now, again, like being said, like I love the way they're doing it with Ted Lasso. It builds that anticipation and it's fun. But with something like this, I want to be able to sit down and devour it all in one smooth thing. It was just one of the things I loved about Invincible. Was that even though they were, like 45-minute episodes, you'll sit down and do like
and I did
5 or 6
in a weekend. I never do that. I mean, I actually my attention span is horrible. So, but Invincible it got me.
Yeah, that's another one we've talked about on the show a couple of times. I keep bringing it up. Like you gotta watch it.
I'm good. Then I'm gonna leave
it's amazing. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I watched, or kind of new and noteworthy for me. And now, what we've been waiting for. Kevin, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Yeah. And then I'll hand the reins back over to Pete for his quizzical.
All right. Well, it's not really a quizzical, but I figured since we've got only a single Andrew tonight, I might as well get to know you a little bit better. We'll dig into your background a little bit. Find out what makes you tick.
TikTok.
So we found out earlier, as we're putting this little Agatha Christie mystery together of who you are, that you were born in Ghana, and you're Canadian by virtue.
By circumstance, by legal circumstance.
I like the Canadians. So Ghana. What's that about?
Ghana is a place.
Well, no, it's in fucking Africa. I know what Ghana is. I'm saying, like, did your parents come to Canada to build a better life for you, or like I'm unaware of there being like sort of any political strife in Ghana where they kind of
it was the first of the African nations to actually gain independence in 1957. Always a stable country. No, my dad is a econ professor, so basically he came out to Canada, University of British Columbia, then got his PhD at University of Toronto. So because of that, we just kind of came with my dad, and have been in Canada ever since. Really, I mean, it's kind of that simple.
So if you're from Ghana, is it Ghanese?
Ghanaian.
And being that your father was an econ professor and you worked at Yelp, how big a disappointment are you now that he's come to the world to build a better life for you?
What I would say then is, I think that my parents probably would have loved for me to go into academia. I will actually say that the three of us, me, my older brother, my younger brother, have all done pretty good. Like,
Oh,
not to brag, but my older brother is like the chief operating officer of Tubi, so he's like kind of balling out of control, and he would hate the fact that I just said that on this podcast, but whatever. I'm very proud of him, and he's doing very well for himself. My other brother's at TikTok, and I was at Yelp, but I'm somewhere else now. But anyway, point is, we've all done pretty well. There's no fuck ups in the family. Thank
no,
God.
that's great. It's just I've always now. Did you know English before?
I was only 5 months old when we came over.
Okay, so you
So
were
I'm literally like, I'm a North American. I'm
a
just
wee baby boy.
Canadian
But you're
by
from
blood.
another country, so I assume by 5 months old you spoke 6 different languages.
Actually, it was 8.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
I guess so.
So was English spoken in your home coming up, or did you learn English from TV? Like,
Believe it or not, all we spoke was English. Like, I mean, my parents spoke, multiple
Yeah.
languages, but as far as us kids, like, we spoke English.
Yeah, well, I honestly, I had assumed your parents spoke more than one language because Americans are the only people who fucking refuse to learn other languages as just a matter of course. Whereas, like, the rest of the world, you're like, oh, where are you from? Zimbabwe. I speak French and English and Dutch. And we're like, where are you from? Alabama. I speak English. Like that. Like,
I speak American.
yeah, it drives me up a wall. Anyway, no, I always find stories of people's immigration incredibly fascinating to see, like how they grew up. And so from a young age, what was kind of fed to you media, music, television wise that kind of informed like your sensibilities today?
It's so funny you asked that, because I actually am grateful to my parents, because I think they were rather liberal when it came to media consumption. I actually would call friends like who lived in other houses kind of living under the Iron Curtain, because they weren't allowed to watch certain shows. Like I mentioned Robotech earlier, and like that show was pretty violent, for a cartoon. Yep. So I know parents who wouldn't let the kids watch Robotech, and that's crazy to me, So no, my parents, like they didn't monitor things that hard. Like we saw the Terminator as like elementary school kids, like it wasn't a big deal, But my dad was also, I think, very plugged into just like mainstream pop culture. Like in terms of like watching ABC News, we had like Thriller and Cyndi Lauper, and we had like all those records. He's a big music guy. So no, I think I was always plugged into pop culture type stuff. And so I think from a media perspective, very, very open to exploring, and I absolutely did that, and I'm grateful.
Nice. Yeah, my parents were somewhat similar. They were a little more selective with movies. TV was not that hard unless they looked closer as to what they were watching, and they were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe we're letting them watch this." But my dad also used to, like, if I woke up or if I stayed awake long enough, I got to watch at least the first half hour of Saturday Night Live.
Nice.
If he was watching on Saturdays, I just kind of, my mom would go to bed and I couldn't sleep, and so I'd sit on the couch and watch Saturday Night Live with my dad, and that just informed my sense of humor for decades to come. So what is the first movie you can remember seeing?
Oh, easy. I mean, as far as, and I was bored to tears, by the way. My parents took us to watch, actually, I think E.T. was the first film, but then Gandhi was the second one, and man, that was boring. Like why would you bring like
you saw Gandhi in a theater?
And there was an intermission too. Like that's how
long
I was. So yeah, dude, I was like traumatized. I watched it again in like 2003, and I get it now. But back then, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
dude.
No, exactly. It's a movie. No, not at all. It's just for a kid, the movie's just boring as fuck. Like you don't like.
Yeah. Like, what is this? Where's the action?
Just take your kid to see 7 Years in Tibet. They'll thank you for it.
But but I also, other movies I remember, like I loved King Kong. I mean, King Kong, the 1976 one, like totally captured my imagination.
Jessica Lange and
yes, and Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. That's when he climbs the World Trade Center.
Correct. And man, let me tell you. But that was a really good question. I actually haven't thought about like what was the first movie I ever saw. That's crazy. I remember my movie theater experiences. So as far as like a movie I saw, like, yeah, like I was more into the cartoons and the TV shows than movies.
I'd say E.T. was actually the first movie I saw in a theater that I can like actually remember.
First movie I was in the theater for was Star Wars.
Oh, wait. So, 80. So it was Empire Strikes
No,
Back.
77, but I don't remember it.
You were a baby. Oh,
yeah.
See, I never. I remember seeing Jedi, and I have a very, very vague memory of seeing the re-release of Empire when it was out, because Empire was released and then it left theaters and then they re-released it again.
Nice.
While you were waiting for Return of the Jedi, and I remember we were with my aunt and we were in the Galleria Mall in Houston that had a movie theater in it. And it was Empire Strikes Back, and they were both just like, well, you want to go see it? And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll bring the kid. And we went and saw it just like on a random Thursday afternoon when my aunt was visiting from out of town. But I do remember seeing that in the theater. Like I said, it's a vague memory, but I just there's certain things like I don't know why it's the one that sticks with me, but it's when the door slides open and Han starts shooting at Vader. That scene, like I remember seeing that as a little kid on a big screen.
That's amazing.
Like that, you know, a lot of the stuff I don't remember, but that I remember. I remember because, again, you know what? No, I'm not going to take us off track and get us into a Star Wars discussion.
So hard. I know you want to.
Good boy, Pete. Resist. Anyway, yeah, no, I remember seeing that. It's interesting what our generation, like what we grew up seeing as little kids in terms of movie theaters versus what like I know my daughters have seen as movies. Like there weren't as many, at least I don't feel like there weren't as many of these like very small animated type films that you could just like, you know, you take your kid to on a Saturday afternoon. Like there, and it wasn't like you didn't have like All Dogs Go to Heaven 3 being released in a theater for a 1 week run. There wasn't, you know, there weren't.
You're right.
You know,
Sorry, but I got excited though. And I'll tell you why. Because I remember actually seeing a couple of cartoons though in the theater. I remember it was Pinocchio. I think was out, and I want to say 80. It was 84. I remember it was 84. It was 84. My dad took us to see Pinocchio. They must have re-released it, and I remember this because when we got out of the theater, we got in the car. That was when on the radio they announced that Marvin Gaye was killed or was shot by his dad. I'll never forget that. It was like March 30th, 1984. I'll never forget that. And I also never forget my dad was just kind of like, well, I mean, he was going up against his dad. I mean, what, you know, you go up against your dad, you're gonna get killed, you know. And I remember as a kid, I was like, okay, note this down. Not go up against that.
Subtle disciplinary threat. That's awesome.
He doesn't remember this, by the way, but I absolutely do. I remember Mighty Mouse also was
I remember Mighty Mouse.
And I remember there's a doomsday device. I remember that's the first time I learned the word doomsday because there's a doomsday device in the movie. But keep going. When you talk about cartoons in the theater, it just brought up those memories. So
yeah. Oh no, then I remember the next. It's interesting we say that, we jump right into cartoons, because the next movie that I have a legitimate memory of seeing was Transformers.
Oh, dude, I'm so jealous of you.
We went
so bad.
I remember we went. It was actually part of like a summer day camp that I was going to, and we went. It was just like, you know, on a Tuesday, and we went and saw it. Oh, mind completely eviscerated.
Yeah,
I was watching Transformers at home, on TV, but that movie is, between the soundtrack and everything they do with it, that is still in. Yeah, and I don't even want to say slept on. I just don't think it just doesn't get as much cred as it deserves, because that movie was fucking awesome.
So they killed Optimus Prime.
Yep.
They dropped the naughty adult word in the movie.
Yep.
They said a bad word. Like as a kid, you're just like, oh my God, this is like
Okay,
grown up.
All right,
You know?
Big giant fat. You had the big giant fat Lacerl P. Orson Welles doing the voice of the planet-eating Unicron.
That film, okay, so as it was a huge part of my mental actual development, okay, because that film was the first film of the reshuffle the deck. It was like, yes, you watch the cartoon, no one dies, there's no consequences, it's just like haha, funny moments. The last thing I actually saw was Krem Zeke or something. It was like anyway, this anyway. So you watch this movie, okay, the animation compared to the show is just like next level. Again, you said the music is next level. You got Ironhide, Ratchet, Brawn. Who am I forgetting? Anyway, they all die in the shuttle. Then you
died.
Dead bodies of Windcharger and Wheeljack. So basically, it's like from the start of the movie to the end of the movie, the whole thing is just
G1 is killing off G1. Basically, that's the whole point of the movie.
Every time, so in life, whether it's like WrestleMania or the main event or even a high school dance, it's like you go in and by the time you come out of it, either everything's changed. Like relationships might be starting, relationships might be ending. All about the reshuffle of the deck. It's open enrollment of life. And Transformers the movie was like when all bets are off. And I love those moments because I feel like the production values of everything just go from 0 to 10 because this is ish just got real. And Transformers the movie for me was like in my 9-year-old life, 10-year-old life is when I realized, Andrew, there's like normal life and there's ish getting real life. And I love the ish getting real life because that's John Locke basically saying ish just got real. Now I can reshuffle the deck. It's open enrollment season. Let's go, baby. COVID, open enrollment season. Let's go, baby. Thank you for letting me rant. This has been so fun.
One shall stand and one shall fall.
Why throw away your life so recklessly? That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron. No, I'll crush you with my bare hands. I'm such a nerd. All right, chill. I got way too excited. Cut the shit out. Okay, leave it in. Whatever.
Do not play You Got the Touch. Turn the shit off right now.
Dude, I was in Chicago. Okay, keep going. All right, let's get back on track.
I got nothing after that. My brain just vapor locked. I'm stuck at the Transformers. That's actually, I still have that on VHS.
Oh yeah, I have it on
a VHS copy of that. That was a very formative movie because then, oddly enough, the next two movies that I can remember seeing in the theater, I remember my grandmother took me to see Gremlins.
Oh yeah,
and she fell asleep in the theater. Yeah, my family, there's a gene my family has where we can fall asleep just about anywhere. When my Uncle Gene was, I think he was 10, my aunt lived in New York, took him to Macy's, but didn't, like a good Italian mother, did not want him messing around in the store. So she told him to just stand here outside the store. I'll be back. He proceeds to lie down on the street and fall asleep, and people were like pitching change at him as they walked by. No, we can sleep anywhere. It's like it's a magical gift.
All right.
But I saw Gremlins. Yeah, so she fell asleep during Gremlins. Gremlins didn't scare me. Like Christy's been telling me.
For me, it wasn't a horror movie either. Yeah.
Oh wow, I was
too comedic to be.
Yeah, like I didn't. Like the Gremlins were introduced late enough in the movie that they weren't scary at that point because I had 45 minutes almost of this stuffed animal that we had to rush out and buy. But Chrissy has said that movie messed her up as a kid, so she's like, no, she's like, you're not showing that to our children.
Aww.
She's like that one for some reason Gremlins just got her. And then the one after that I remember is then E.T. No.
Well, E.T. was 81.
Yeah, no, that was the first one I saw. No, excuse me. After that, the next time I remember going to see a movie was actually Top Gun because I was about 10 years old and it was the first movie that I went to with just my friends and we got dropped off and we went and saw it.
The first movie I went to with my friends was Oliver and Company. It was '89. Billy Joel did the soundtrack.
The movie's great,
And
dude.
That movie is slept on so hard as a kid's cartoon, man.
Well, because the one that gets all the credit is The Little Mermaid, right? The Little Mermaid's what brought back Disney. And it gets credit, but Oliver and Company is a fantastic movie.
And it's a really cool retelling of that story. And in the way they do it, like that's if you really think about it, that's actually a hard story to retell and update and kind of modernize, because all like it worked to a point, like in Victorian era London, but then all of a sudden you try and do like the Oliver story here in like modern day America, and it's like, no, these kids are being trafficked. They're like like Fagin's not just like, he's a bad guy, but at the same time he's giving these kids a roof over his head. No, he's like a fucking weirdo that's got like a team of kids that go out and steal shit for him.
I might have to Google though, because I think Oliver and Company was just like a bunch of dogs. I think.
Oh no, they are. But it's based based on the musical Oliver.
Got it.
Yeah, and so it's loosely based. It's there. The major points are there. Like one of the characters, Dodger.
You're right. I believe that Oliver Twist. All right. I remember nothing. I just remember the fact that I was happy because I was like, okay, no parents, so we're all on our own. Like that's all I remember. Like, yeah.
Billy Joel, the music in that was really good.
I remember that. Why should I care? Yeah.
In fact, I will venture to say if you take Disney musical movies out of it, the only other movie that I've seen in my life, non-Disney, cartoon that actually has a soundtrack that competes with that really well would actually be the Curious George movie with the Jack Johnson's whole. Oh, look, I'm jumping ahead 2 weeks from now. Here's a little teaser, folks, talking about soundtracks.
Last thing, Joey Lawrence apparently played Oliver. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Whoa.
Awesome. This was pre-whoa though.
Actually, 3 years, 3 or 4 years.
Oh. Joey Lawrence. Whoa. That's funny. That's another one. Blossom was on like when I was of like prime time watching age. I never watched Blossom until it was in reruns. Like I pick up S's reruns. Actually, I started watching Blossom when they started growing up a little bit. Cause 6, Jen of Hanoi.
Yeah, I know.
Got fine. Quick, and it was right about that age. Like she's about our age, so we were like right there at that age.
Years.
And she got a little white girl thick all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, where you're kind of like, huh, interesting. And she was just like, she was really, really pretty. I remember thinking that, like, that like 11, 12-year-old, like early pubescent feelings.
Funny feelings. So I'm just looking at, again, you guys, you're the hosts, so I'm just wondering, like, I want to make sure there's enough time for me to Myers-Briggs Kevin. I want to find out like what his personality is, but I just want to make sure that I'm just throwing it out.
Oh yeah, no, actually, looking at the clock, let's we can shift gears. That's actually not a bad idea, because this is one of the things that you are super into right now is this Myers-Briggs, and I've taken one of the tests, and you had me pegged, like as to like what I was based on the test.
First time you've been pegged.
Ooh, heyo!
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
No pun intended.
So when you were on the West Coast last time, we met up with some people and had drinks, and you actually like MBTI'd someone right there in front of me, and they didn't have to take a personality test, and a couple of them had taken the test, and you're like, oh no, you're dead on, exactly right. So give us a little background on what that is. This is one of those things that I find this completely fascinating.
All right. So here's what I'll say about Myers-Briggs. Okay, so Myers-Briggs, basically, it's a way to understand yourself and other people. And there are 4 dimensions to personality. And there's
astrology for atheists.
See, and that's where I get a little like because I feel a little, I know it was just a joke, but like I definitely bristle a little bit about the or astrology for smart people, whatever, right?
Right, yeah.
So basically there is a science to it, but the thing is, it's like, I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, so there's 4 dimensions to personality. There's introversion, extroversion, and there's intuition versus sensing, thinking and feeling, and then perceiving and judging. And basically, yeah, so I actually don't want to go too deep into it because it's going to like muddy the results for Kevin. But basically, the reason why I like it so much is because I'm the kind of person who I'm go big or go home. I want to do a good job or don't do a good job. So even in life, I want to be awesome, right? So I want to understand myself very well. I want to understand other people very well. And I want to navigate communication that way because if I know that you're a certain type, then I can fix my approach. And also if you act a certain way and it might seem a little, mean or whatever, I'm not going to take this personally because I know that's just your type. So it's like, and I'm empathic. I feel emotions very easily from other people. So I just really wanted to just optimize my life through it. And I learned it in like 2008, I want to say. And so at this point now, wearing my Jedi robes and can basically just Myers-Briggs people because I literally it's a fucking love language. That's the way I look at it. Because I just want to understand you so I can be the best I can be.
When you say you learned it, this wasn't like
a class, no.
Like an Esalen, Tony Robbins kind of.
No, I just read up on my own, because when I took the test and read my type, it was literally like, oh my God, so that's why I don't like sports, or that's why, I seem so sensitive or whatever. It's like, I didn't feel like an oddball anymore. So the first thing I did is I actually went to Facebook, found a bunch of other INFPs, and we just fucking keep cursing. You
can curse all you want, cock, shit, balls.
7 dirty words, whatever. And it was amazing, and then I was able to, now that I know what I am, I can maybe be able to even hack myself. And I did. So I actually changed types because I knew what was maladaptive. Like, this is where I want to go in life. I got to file down this bullshit. I can dial up this cool shit. And then all of a sudden, everything's working out. So I'm super, super, super enthusiastic about it. And I think that for everyone I've been able to understand, it just made our dynamic 10 times better. I hope that was a decent introduction into what this is.
It is. It's actually kind of freakish because it's like with what I don't know. It's one of those things that I could just be way more impressed with it than other people are, just because I know, after taking the test and having seen you like go, oh yeah, no, you're a total INFP, or she's a total, ENT. Anyway, and like you talk to people about it, like, oh my God, after I take the test, he's absolutely right. So I'm just curious because Kevin, I'm that cusping EI that we talked about there, like that's on there, and I'm curious as to what you think about Kevin with
TMNT.
A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Yeah. I actually already have I have an idea of what Kevin might be. But we're gonna find out in a second. And the last thing I'll say is it's not even so much of a test; it's more of an indicator. It's only as good as the answers you give it, and it's only as good as how self-aware you really are, really at the end of the day.
Well, no, it's that, and it's also just being honest with it. Like it's if you're, it's less skewable than a which house in Hogwarts do you belong quiz, but it's still, when you sit down for the full, take the full test, you can understand what questions they're asking you and what it's going to lead to a little bit more. So you can skew it, but if you're honest about it, it's very, very interesting. And if you sit there and actually, it's good because every test that I've looked at, the questions are, they make you pause for a second and go, well, wait, am I really like this? Is that what I tell people I would do, or what I'd say I'd do in that situation? But do I actually do it that way, or do I not? And when you answer some of them honestly, you're like, oh my God, I'm way more like this than I thought I was. So it's okay. So do Kevin.
All right. So this is gonna be like a 4 or 5 part. Maybe 4 or 5 questions. And then what's going to happen afterwards is I'm totally going to send you like a version of the test. you're going to take it, and then we're going to find out like how close I was, and then I'll send you some other links about the personalities, and then you'll see if it resonates or not. So here we go.
Welcome to the cult.
All right. So Kevin, say you've got plans for I don't know, Friday night or whatever, and they get canceled. What's your first reaction? Is it usually like, oh man, I gotta make new plans? Or is it like, woohoo, free time? You know?
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm very excited to not have to do shit.
Okay, that was easy. Next up, no right answers to this question. What's one of your favorite movies of all time?
Yeah, I fucking hate that question. Yeah, I literally do, because there's so many movies that I enjoy that I actually don't have a favorite.
Okay, then you know what? Forget that. Then
How do I break it down classification wise?
Okay, so then just pick a movie you really like.
I'll say the first one that popped into my head, Empire Records.
Okay, now here's the key. Here's the key. I'm listening to how you describe it. What is Empire Records about?
Well, Empire Records is it's a solid '90s just like hangout movie, right? It's all about the folks that are stuck in this music store that's about to shut down. It's their only job, and it's about their interactions with each other, and it's fucking hilarious. And it's got great dialogue. I love the dialogue in that movie. It's an eminently quotable movie.
Fascinating. Okay, now to calibrate, what's another movie you really like?
Fuck, I'm still gonna get stuck on comedy, so I'm just gonna go Van Wilder.
Okay, what is Van Wilder about?
That is just about a fucking. He's kind of a brilliant idiot who's been stuck in college for way too long, and he's just like funny. Like I like it. If you break down the plot of it, it's not much. It's funny enough. It's actually based on a true person.
Bert Kreischer, baby.
Yeah, Bert Kreischer.
It's an article that Rolling Stone did on him as the #1 partier in the world when he was in Florida State. I love Bert Kreischer. Oh God.
Yeah.
All right. So far,
but it's hilarious.
I think you've okay. So far you're actually matching up with my what I think or thought or think, whatever. All right. Major life decisions. Would you say you make them more with your head or your heart?
I would have thought I would say head, but I moved across the fucking country on a whim in a house that I basically saw after I made an offer. So I would have to say heart.
Well, damn. Okay. All right. And then last but not least, this is fascinating. Okay. Let's say you're on vacation. Okay.
Hold on real quick before you ask that question. I feel so stupid, Kevin, because I'm thinking back. I'm all, when did Kevin move across the country on a whim like that? Do that. I don't think I've ever heard that story until I stopped and went, oh, wait, yeah, that's when he moved to Connecticut.
Yep.
Like a year ago. Continue.
Right. So you're going on vacation. Do you plan? I mean, do you prefer to plan out your vacation days in advance, like what you're going to do, or do you prefer to just get to the location and then just kind of go on the fly?
That's a tricky one because I don't like to plan shit for myself. So if I'm going on vacation, I will go somewhere and just be. But if I'm going with somebody that plans it, I tend to enjoy that more. But I am not the planner, right? Because like when we went to Italy, my wife planned all the stuff, had it all great, and it was a fantastic trip. I guarantee you, if I had gone to Italy by myself, I wouldn't have had a fucking clue what I was going to do. I would have walked around Rome for 5 days and come home. Like that, I have, ideas about things that I want to do, but I don't plan them. I'm not an excellent planner.
All right. So going back to the major life decisions being head or heart, are there any other major life decisions that you went with your heart versus your head?
I don't try to make decisions ever. I don't know. I think.
You know what? You know what? I'm done. I already
right.
did the calculation because I remember you and Pete were in theater, so it actually makes perfect sense. Okay, you're a fucking ISFP. That is my guess. What we're gonna find out, of course, is we're gonna take the test and find out if I was right. The ISFP archetype is the performer, actually. So to me, it's like, and I'll tell you. So basically, I and E are pretty easy. Introvert, extrovert. Okay. Introverts, it's not about being outgoing. It's about how you get your energy. Okay. So if you're really introverted, you need alone time to be energized, and being out among people, especially if they don't really like them, is draining as fuck. Extroverts, however, love people and they get energy. And if they're alone for too long, it's like they can't take it. Most of the world as extroverts, and that's why most of the world cannot handle COVID. Introverts like me fucking loved it. Next up, S versus N. Okay. Sensors are, which is what you probably are very aware of what's actually happening. They're very more concrete, detailed reality people. Ns tend to be a bit more abstract and in their heads a lot. So when you ask the movie question, typically a sensor will focus more on the plot or what's actually happening with the movie, right? Whereas Ns will more describe themes. So if you ask people what The Matrix is about, an S might say it's about a guy who is like finding out all this weird shit, like he finds out he's in a virtual world, right? Whereas an N might say, oh, it's about discovery and resurrection and blah blah blah, whatever. Like that's what an N talks about. Okay. F and T, pretty straightforward. If you lead with T thinking, you're a T. If you lead with F feeler, you're an F. Last but not least, J and P, a little bit tricky. J's are very black and white, good, bad, either or. If you ask them something, they know immediately what it is. Like, this is my favorite movie. This is my favorite food. I'm planning everything in advance, blah, 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 list. P's are like prospectors. They're perceivers. They're good with ambiguity. They're good with gray. I don't necessarily nail something down because something better might come along, that kind of person. So I used to be a P. I'm a J now because I'm in sales. So that means I need to know quickly if you're going to fucking close, because if you're not going to fucking close, bye, I'm wasting my time with you. Move on, go to the next person. Like I'm a J now. But I thought you might be ISTJ because of I think you said IT kind of background, because ISTJs are inspectors. They're very good at just like calling shit. And you might be a cusper in the F and the T. But when you just said, I went on a whim and bought this house before even seeing it, I think I was like, no. And he was a performer back in the day. He got older. You've developed your T, but you're probably an ISFP. By the way, I don't know very much about ISFPs. If you watch Euphoria, Faz is an ISFP on that show. A lot of actually celebrities are ISFPs, performers. Anyway, thank you guys so much. And thank you for the listening public for letting me talk this much about Myers-Briggs. Clearly, I'm very passionate about it, but damn, dude, like I'm on an ISFP kick actually, because I don't know many of you guys. You're actually the first.
Yeah, you're the first one he's met in the wild.
Yes, dude. So I'm pretty excited. All right, talk to me. Like, give me some feedback.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. It seems to me I've done this before, and I was like an INFP.
Yeah, and I could see that
test. Too. Yeah, but I don't remember what it means. I know that my daughter is actually really into it, and she might also be an INFP. But me and my daughter are very, very, very similar people. She is a better student than I ever was. Like, she's a little more driven by things and a little more focused when it comes to learning and actually doing things. If it's not active, I struggle to learn things. So like the reason that I've gotten as far as I have in IT is that I'm a problem solver. Like, I figure out the weird shit, and that's always been my thing, and that's how I got to where I am.
And that is IT.
But yeah, but for a lot of people, it's not. Like, I've known a lot of people that like to sit at the desk and help people fix their problems that everybody else has. Right? Like, I've seen people be that help desk technician they know they're going to work on these 6 things, and that's just fine.
Oh, bro, I Frenched as a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's murder for a P, and you are clearly a P. You are a lateral thinker. You're all about the possibilities, and thinking outside the box. That's what P's do.
Yeah.
And INFPs, just for the record, are like my favorite people, as clearly you can tell. Like, I love INFPs. They are legitimately probably one of the most altruistic, if not the most altruistic, in my opinion, of the types. They just really want to make the world a better place, straight up.
Aw, Kev.
I
I never knew.
I just want to sit on my couch. I just want the world to be better. I don't know if I can change it. But...
No, that actually fits, because INFPs aren't necessarily, again, I think you might be a customer in the NES, but like INFPs, like it's almost like we want world peace, or we want, you know, they basically, they want to do it, but actually getting up and doing it, like that's the rub, you know. That's the issue. So yeah, very
fun. Yeah.
Thank you so much for letting me do this again. I'm gonna
I'll do.
I'm sending this right after this. You're gonna get, like, check your inbox. Like, you're getting the links.
Yeah, we'll follow it up for sure.
That was fun. Maybe, you know, that could be very interesting. I'm gonna have to do a little internet research, see if I can find something. I'm gonna see, and you get a Scout's honor promise that you won't research that you won't Google this. I'm going to see if there's a list anywhere of celebrities, actor-wise, you know, actors and actresses, and what they're...
Oh, yeah. That's part of the links. It's called idrlabs.com, individual difference research labs.com, idrlabs.com. It actually has all of, like, celebrities and, like, public figures, like, what their types are. They might not necessarily take in the test, but again, when you get really good, you can call this shit, you know?
Well, have you looked through a lot of that list?
Oh, yeah. 1,000,000%. Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Why?
It would have been an interesting segment to, like, read off that list and have you guess which was, or use your intuition based on which celebrity as to see what they were and see how close you were to the list.
Yeah, and again, it's not an exact science, right? Because there are differing opinions. Like, there's differing opinions on what someone is. Like, but I think the consensus, for example, of, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger or my God, I'm forgetting their names. Anyway, INTJ, dude, straight up, you know. But other ones, there's arguments, but there's also even, like, characters, like in fiction, that you can type as well. So this is a rabbit hole, baby, and I am totally down to engage anyone who wants to go down this rabbit hole.
See, all I'm thinking right now is next week's episode is going to be so different.
Oh yeah, because Andy's a very different dude. Yeah.
Look at my balls. I shaved my chest. My girlfriend likes anal. No, I'm just joking.
All those things are going to come up.
He never said that. If you're listening to this, that was just me being me.
No, it's not that he never said that. It's that he hasn't said it yet.
My lips are sealed. No, I'm joking. Sorry, Andy. I that's true. Yeah,
the Go-Go's performance at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction this year was absolutely awesome. They have not lost a step. I'm sorry, you said my lips are sealed, and my brain instantly went, "Our lips are sealed," and it's
that's great.
So I watched that like a couple of weeks ago when it came on. It's the 2021 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction is pretty cool this year. They inducted Aretha, a couple of really cool bands. I'm forgetting who else they did.
Janet Jackson, didn't she get inducted like last year or something like that? I'm pretty sure she did.
Yes, she did, because I remember talking to my daughter about Rhythm Nation because I stood up and started.
Yeah. That's actually.
And then she was very disappointed in you.
Yeah.
But I got to put in a plug here for a second though. The Janet like documentary just dropped last night and tonight, and I need to watch that because apparently there's a lot of cool stuff in there. So I'm kind of like losing my R&B card for having not seen it yet. But apparently
I heard she calls Michael out his name.
I can't confirm or deny that yet. But anyway, just wanted to throw it out there for anyone watching. I'm gonna watch it.
Oh wait, Janet, you'd know this. Was Janet the one that was married to one of the DeBarge?
Yes.
Was it Chico or
James?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And apparently he left her in a hotel room. Like he like completely like dropped her. Like it was bad, and that's not cool.
Janet Jackson's always been one of the most amazing musical reinventions.
Oh yeah.
That you've ever seen, because she, you know, she went from "All Right with Me" to Rhythm Nation. Like it was
Dude,
just a
I don't know what
complete.
you just sang. Don't ever do that again.
Okay.
You're grounded.
On that note, this has been fun. It was an interesting little look at Kevin's Myers-Briggs station. Brigade there. I know Andrew's sleepy. Kevin's sleepy. If I'm this sleepy, even whether you guys took naps or not, you got to be fucking tired. It's 3 a.m. I love it.
I have a confession to make. I'm actually pretty jazzed. I got a chance to do Transformers voices, and I talked about Myers-Briggs, and so it's going to take me a little while to actually fall asleep now, because this was fun. And I, again, thank you for the opportunity to, relive, share a little bit about myself. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's just so fucking fun. Thank you, everyone. And thank you guys for doing this. I'm giddy.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Well, no, it's fun. So we don't get you next week. We do have Andy next week, which will be fun. And then the week after that, that'll be a fun episode. We'll have both of you back on, and
reunion.
We've already got that planned out. It's an episode
Yep.
I'm very interested in. Yeah.
All right.
All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for, ladies, gentlemen, at the whole spectrum, however you identify. I'm not going to gender you. Whatever you want to be. It's your life. Live it.
Live it and love it.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This has been All Pop No Culture. Have a week. I'm not sure why I put on my NPR voice at the end there.
It's all right, man.
It just kind of popped out.
Just talk about your sweaty balls.
I fucking love that sketch. It still holds up so well. In fact, it's even funnier because NPR is so much a bigger part of the cultural zeitgeist now because of podcasts and people watching it. That we joked around about we joke around about getting rid of cable and stuff like that. That is the one thing. Oh, hello, Beast. That is the one thing that I do love is every year NBC puts out the Saturday Night Live Christmas special, which is just like a collection of all the holiday sketches that have been really funny. And like I said, that one still holds up so well. A couple of them feel very, very dated. But that one, oh God.
So I have a question. Why is it that every time you listen to NPR, they all sound like this? What is there a mandate for people to talk like this, very soft and very, very thoughtful? I don't understand it.
I don't know. I think it might have something to do with NPR pumping their air vents full of powdered quaaludes from the 70s that people are just constantly breathing in. It's everybody's voice sounds like that. Even I loved it, Serial, the original Serial, the first season of that was easily some of the best podcasting that's ever been created. And Sarah Koenig, it's so funny because you listen to her out in the field with people talking, and then she's back in the studio and she's talking like this, and you're just like,
stop it, stop the madness,
please. But I really that's legit. I wish I could listen to NPR, but I can't because those people's voices, no matter how they talk, just lulls me to sleep. It is so
soothing,
comforting, and soothing.